So for step 24, the dampers, well, you can see there's quite a few parts that we're going to need to pull off the B and the T parts trees, and we're going to need to make 4 of them. So there are the springs and all of the pieces that we're going to need for this step. So I'm going to set this up and we'll put these together. So these are a pretty interesting design. I've already put 2 of them together, and you know, more dampening would be better obviously if these were oil-filled shocks, but they seem a little bit sturdier and a little sort of beefier than the normal pogo sticks, you could say. So I'll show you how this is going to go together. If we grab this part right here, you can see that they have this piston type thing going through there, and you can see that they're showing the open hole is there. I don't think it makes any difference, but we're, you know, just for the purposes of this video, we'll do it this way. You can see that once that's in, you've got to grab this piece right here, so your end cap. Notice one side has a sort of a square opening, one is a circle. They're showing that based on this notch here, the circle is going to go in that way. And then you're going to grab one of these pieces right here, and you're going to slide that in and over. And that's what's holding on the top cap. Now, once that is done, they're showing you putting on this very thin spacer. Then they show you putting on the thick spacer. Then they show you putting on the spring, which you're just going to slide over top of that. And then you're going to pull the spring down, grab this last piece here, and slide it under and over. And voila, you've got yourself a pogo stick. So there's your friction shock. So we'll do it one more time. Here is the piece that we need. You're going to grab this piece here and slide it through. And where's that opening again? There's the opening. So you're going to grab the end cap part. You're going to slide that on like that. You're going to grab this piece that looks like that. Put that through there and in the hole. That's going to hold the end cap in place. Then you're going to grab the thin spacer. That goes on first. You're going to grab the thick spacer. That goes on second. Then you're going to grab your spring. Put that one on. And you're going to pull back on the spring. Grab this piece here. And you'll notice the notch. That side, the flat is facing up. That's facing towards the end here. So we're going to slide that back. There, and it's just going to sit on there just like that. So that's how you put them together. So there are all 4 of our shocks ready to be installed. So that means step 24 is complete. So we're going to move on to step 25, and we're going to attach the dampers, and they're showing you first thing we're going to do is the front, and then we'll move to put them on to the rear. So for step 25, attaching the dampers, this is going to be a pretty simple step. I mean, essentially there are 4 step screws for both front and back, and we're just going to attach those shocks to the lower arms. So there are the step screws that we need. So I'll set this up and we'll put them on. So it's talking about putting the front ones on first. So let's do that. So if we, and I don't think it matters too much, but I want this facing out. See how there's only one little notch? This side, you've got a sort of a bigger hole area. I'm going to go with this. So I want that on the front. So you can see that that's going to go into the first hole. So that's that one there. So we're going to attach that to there. grab the screwdriver and screw that in place. And it's naturally going to come to the end because obviously the step screw has its own stop. So you can see that there's going to be some play. And then on the bottom, you can see that there were 3 holes in this end bit. They want you putting it into the top one. So this is obviously going to end up being compressed a bit in order to do this. So let's make sure we do that. And we'll grab our step screw, put that in there, and I'm going to compress it a bit so that we can get it into the top hole right there. And I'll grab the screwdriver and I'll start screwing that in. Now I can see, you can sort of see approximately the positioning. I can see that that needs to come down a bit, so I'm gonna push this up a bit. In fact, let's do it this way. But I can tell that that needs, there we go, to go in that way. I will screw that in all the way. And there we go. So there is our first friction shock attached. So we'll do the other side. So again, grab one of our step screws. I'm going to have that notch facing out. And we're going into the outer hole on the frame. Screw that in. There we go. And again, it's going to be the outer one and the top. So, bottom part on, we're going to need to attach it to the top hole. Make sure that that is sitting okay. I'm just going to hold that back a little bit. Yep, I'll just grab our screwdriver. Kind of holding the shock down a little bit so that it's allowing the screw to go in fairly level. So that it's not binding either. There we go. So there we go. There are our front shocks in place. For friction shocks, they feel pretty decent. But we'll see how this goes. Anyways, there we go. There's a front. So now we'll work on the rear. So for the rear, same idea again. We're looking at the top, just like we did on the front, and the end, like the last hole on the end of this. So it really is the same sort of design, front and back. So we'll put our step screw through, screw this in place. And you know you're at the end because that's going in pretty easy. But you see, this is the hard plastic. So another thing to really think about here is when you're putting it into the top, it's going to be pretty firm. You'll know when you're at the end. With this, these arms were off the T parts tree, which means that it's going to be a softer plastic. So you are going to have to watch a little bit here to make sure that you, when you get to the end, don't keep tightening it, because it's not you're going to end up possibly stripping it. So I'm just watching where that is. And it's pretty much near the end there. Which it is right there. So again, just make sure that you're not stripping this out. But that feels correct. So we'll do the other side now. So we're going to grab the other step screw, put that in. We know it's going to go into the top. And again, with this going into hard plastic, you know when you've reached the end. The screw won't turn anymore. I'm at the end. So we know that that's okay. But when it comes to this side, you're just going to have to be a little bit more careful. So when we take this screw, we know it's got to go into the top hole on the outer piece. So the top hole, there it goes. And I'll just grab the screwdriver. So again, I'm going to watch for this a bit, because you can see where the threads are in there. But don't over tighten, because you can feel that you could just keep turning and you'd eventually strip it out. But that's it. So there are our rear shocks complete. So now we've got our rears and our fronts all ready to go. So that is it for step 25. So we're going to move on to now step 26, and we're going to attach the bumper.